I've worked there for 6 months, and have eaten lunch by myself in my car every single day. What's the loneliest thing you've done? I was home alone on New Year's Eve. I was playing The Sims in complete darkness. I had a small get-together with some other Sims. As the ball fell, I whispered, "Happy New Year," to myself. I inadvertently sent a friend request on Facebook to the wrong person who happened to have the same name as the intended recipient. For whatever reason, that person accepted the request. This person and I have never interacted and don't live anywhere near each other. I now read all of her updates and follow her life story. I've cheered during both of her pregnancies, felt scared when she had to deliver one child 2 months early, cried when her husband was hurt in Afghanistan, and felt proud when she was accepted to medical school. I realized one day that I had invented a completely one-sided friendship with an online stranger, all while sitting at home, alone, in my pajamas. Planned my birthday a week before, and invited all my best friends to the mall to go eat and go bowling. I got there an hour early on the day and sat at our meeting spot. That's when I got the first text. "Sorry, dude, can't come. Happy birthday." Then slowly one by one they all messaged me about the same thing. I was so mad and almost cried. When I calmed down, I got Starbucks and went to watch The Fault in Our Stars. I came home hoping for a surprise party or something. Or maybe a dropped-off gift. Nope, nothing. 2 weeks ago I went to an 11:15 p.m. showing of the final Hobbit movie. I was the only person in the theater. I spent 20 minutes finding the perfect seat and seriously contemplated asking them to pause the movie when I went to take a piss. Holy shit, that movie is long. As I walked out of the theater at almost 2 in the morning, there were no employees in sight. My car was the only one in the lot and a light snow had recently fallen and was completely unmolested. As I was about halfway to my car, I turned around to look at the theater and all the frontage and interior lights were off. It looked almost like it had been closed all along. I used to have a dog named Douglas. He was the child dog of an old relationship. When no one was around, I liked to sing random songs to him, replacing certain words with his name. Turn down for Doug, Stairway to Douglas, Sweet Child of Doug, etc. Anyhow, after my ex and I broke up and parted ways, he got all depressed. Between work and graduate school and not really having a yard he could play in, I realized this wasn't the best environment for him. So, despite loving that dog more than most of the people in my life, I called my ex and decided to let her keep him. A little while after he was gone, I caught myself singing Sweet Child of Doug alone in my house, and I got really sad. This was months ago and I'm still sad about it. I imagine life together with a girl on the bus just because she was pretty. Usually it's not even really romantic stuff, I just imagine watching Netflix on my couch with her or holding her in my arms while we're sleeping. I like to imagine what my life would be like if I was forced into a marriage with this woman. Somebody please say they do this too. Rented at a restaurant that housed over 70 people after coming back from a deployment so I could spend time with all of my friends and family in one place. After having announced the event for over 3 weeks, nobody showed up. Having sat there for over 2 hours waiting, I got up and left. Nobody called or texted to cancel. I still think about that day. My neighbor was having a Super Bowl 5 different kinds of chili party but did not directly invite me and I was too anxious to just go. So I picked up Wendy's chili and ate it in my car, in the Wendy's parking lot, and waited until the Super Bowl was over before going home. When I moved I had a lonely period where I hadn't had anyone to have a conversation with for around a year. Ate food I knew I couldn't, so I'd have to go to the emergency room and staff there would see my details and someone would wish me a happy birthday. I'm in a much better place than I was back then, but it was definitely the lowest point of my life. I have really severe social anxiety and it was too overwhelming at the time to get out and meet people. During a long stretch of being single, I went to a strip club on Valentine's Day. All my friends had something going on and I didn't want to be alone. One of the strippers gave me a kiss on the cheek. It left a big red lipstick mark on my face and she whispered in my ear, "Hope that doesn't get you in trouble." Yeah, right. If I had someone at home who cared about random lipstick on my face, do you think I would be at a strip club by myself on Valentine's Day? Ended up going home, getting blackout drunk by myself and trash-talked young kids on Call of Duty. When I came back from Iraq in 2005, I had been over there for well over a year. Flew all the way back to Germany and got to Frankfurt late, midnight. We jumped on a bus and drove to the base we lived on, and it was snowing outside. They herded us all into this gym and we stood there on the basketball court in formation and they released everyone to their families. I remember standing there watching all these people, who were my only family, go to their real families and leave. I didn't have anyone there. I just turned around, picked up my ruck and walked the 2 miles back to my barracks room. When I got there, it was completely empty, save for a bed and a 6-pack of beer in the fridge. Someone was thinking ahead. I popped open a beer, sat on the bed, and felt like I was supposed to be happy, but I was more lonely than I'd ever been. That feeling never went away. My loneliest moment occurred about 2 years ago. It was during the summer and I had gotten 2 free tickets to go to the local Renaissance fair. I did the only thoughtful thing I could think of. I asked my girlfriend of several years if she wanted to go. She was a teacher and claimed that she was too busy preparing for the school year, so she kept stalling and gave me non-committal responses. I asked her if she wanted to go on Friday night. Saturday came and went. I asked again if she would be game to go for an hour or 2 on Sunday for something to do. They were free, so I didn't really care if we stayed for a short amount of time. She claimed again that she was too busy, even after I offered to come help her, and still didn't give me a firm answer. Sunday rolled around and I asked again. She gave me the same routine. It was too short notice to invite anyone else, so I ended up going to the fair by myself. While I was walking up to the admission gate to get in, I saw a younger couple getting ready to pay for their tickets. I still had an extra ticket, so I gave it to the couple. They seemed genuinely happy. The situation ignited an intense feeling of sadness. I spent an hour or 2 wandering around the fair alone. I wasn't happy and I knew it. Less than a week later, I was single by my own choosing. I would get upset and vent at Cleverbot because I didn't want to bother my friends with my troubles. Also, the only Christmas card I ever get in the mail is from State Farm. Whenever I get it, it makes me feel pathetic since the holidays already bring me down. They usually make me cry because my insurance company is the only entity that bothered to spend 35 cents to say Merry Christmas. That's usually the lowest point of the year because I'm usually drunk from Halloween to Valentine's Day. The saddest moment that has resulted from me living by myself these past 5 years was when I was at my parents' house playing Legos with my 4-year-old nephew. When it was time for me to leave, I told him goodbye and he was all, "You're leaving?" "Yeah, Oliver. I have to go home." "Why? Who's missing you?" "Nobody, Oliver." 3 years ago, my wife of 8 years suddenly left me. After a few months of voluntary seclusion, I decided on one final hurrah to my loneliness. I took my wedding ring, cost €900, gold was worth about €200, and took it to a gold buyer. Sold the ring for exactly €29.95, leaving the gold buyer flabbergasted, of course. Then, I went to the liquor store across the road and bought a bottle of Johnny Walker, $29.95. Went back home, closed all the curtains, locked my doors, played my depressing music playlist on repeat and turned off my telephone. With all that done, I opened up the bottle and downed it in, about an hour or so. The rest of the night was spent crying drunkenly, freaking out and other such pleasantries. I have never felt as lonely as that night. The following day I woke up with a huge hangover, which passed in due time. I got on my motorcycle and drove to my parents for dinner. My period of seclusion now ended. After I finished school I worked for my parents helping run their business, but we argued all the time. One day after an especially intense argument which ended in me being told to go to hell, I packed a small backpack and hitchhiked about 100 miles to a nearby city where I rented a room. I come from a large family and had never lived on my own before, but was so mad that I decided to not let anyone know where I was. I was so busy working with one very miserable old guy for the first 6 months, in construction, that I didn't even take time to make any friends. I remember when Christmas Day came, when I would usually be celebrating with family and lots of relatives, but now I was all alone. I went for a walk. Everything was silent, no traffic on the road, no stores open. I'd walk down the road peering in people's windows trying to see families being together. I finally made up with my parents, then got married, had 9 children and now look forward to being alone. Things change. I live alone. No boyfriend and very few friends. Invited my parents over for Thanksgiving but they were going on vacation to Tahiti. I ended up getting tiny toy plates and dollhouse silverware and teapots and placemats, making a Thanksgiving dinner, and eating with my pet rat Molly sitting on the table across from me. Gave her a bath beforehand, of course. She refused to eat out of her tiny plate because she always liked whatever I was eating. So we ended up eating out of the same regular-sized plate, Miley and me. Miley, being a small rat, would stand on the edge of my plate and pick up morsels of food with her two tiny hands. Then it became a routine that we'd have dinner together. She likes avocado a lot. I make her special salads with lettuce, cheddar, avocado and goldfish crackers. The loneliest person makes the happiest rat. My job is severely lonely. I work in a large, space-wise, office as a receptionist, so I am in the front by myself all day. People look down on me as just the receptionist, the lowest position in the office. They will walk past my desk and act like I am literally just a part of furniture. Won't look at me. If I say hi, sometimes they pretend they didn't hear me. The only time they do talk to me is when they are in a bad mood, and need someone to take out their frustrations on. I'm either invisible, or a verbal punching bag. I've worked here for 6 months, and have eaten lunch by myself in my car every single day. I, 22M, went back home over Christmas, where my mom's boyfriend has moved in with his 2 sons, 20 and 25. I was your standard introverted kid, got good grades, and have done research and have job offers coming out of college. But my mom always would have preferred me to be a straight C student in high school if it meant that I was going out partying every Friday. The 2 sons are those kind of kids, and it hurts watching my mom show them so much more affection despite being losers and not being her real kids. Christmas morning I lied about having to make a business call to Europe, and spent 5 hours sitting on a park bench so I wouldn't have to sit down with them and open presents with them. Maybe I'm just being jealous, but the glint my mother gets in her eye when the unemployed one says he is going out and will be back tomorrow, maybe kills me, and I really don't want to be part of her new family. On Christmas Eve about 4 years ago, my family decided to go to Switzerland for the holidays, but I just couldn't fathom spending my entire vacation over there, so my parents eventually decided it was okay for me to stay at home. What I didn't account for was that this meant that I was spending Christmas alone, with Harry Potter on TV and a pizza in the oven. No gifts, no tree, no nothing actually. Upside is, there was a girl at the time that asked me how Christmas was at our place. After I told her about my pathetic evening, she yelled at me for about 10 minutes, about how I should have told her and that I could have spent it at their place, etc. Never really struck me really that it was an option. In any case, she showed up a little while after that, unannounced, and made me dinner and spent a couple of days with me. Nobody had ever done anything like that for me, and we're still together this day today and engaged. When I was 17 I was a senior in high school. My friends were all bragging about how they all had lost their virginities before graduating. I had not. I told people I had so I would fit in, but I hadn't. Well, I kicked it into overdrive and made it my mission to lose my virginity to the first bidder. I lost my virginity at the age of 17 to a 24-year-old addict who was married with a baby and worked at McDonald's. He rented a cheap, scummy motel room. After he had his way with me, he left. I sat there and cried for about an hour before I left to return the key to the front desk. I've never felt more alone. I've never regretted something so much. My birthday 2 months ago, I really wanted someone to wish me happy birthday. My mom texted me, and I think my sister may have texted me, but that doesn't really count. So I texted a couple people. I guess I'm not in a lot of people's lives, because I wound up texting my ex and a girl I met on Tinder a year ago that I still talk to. They both acknowledged that it's my birthday, but they didn't wish me happy birthday. I wanted happy birthday, just that, not anything else. I pressed the point. You didn't wish me happy birthday. I threw in an emoticon, because I'm obviously not serious obviously. I asked them to say it. Thanks for listening to Radio TTS. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell for more videos. Click the right box for the Radio TTS playlist and let us know what the next video should be about.